October is Menopause Awareness Month, and this is an opportunity for us to raise awareness of menopause and how it impacts on women in the workplace. So I'm joined by Emma and Jutta, two of our local reps, to talk about this condition and other menstrual related conditions. I say condition, but actually the menopause is just a natural part of women's lives. But as we know, the hormonal changes can create a number of uncomfortable, difficult, and sometimes embarrassing symptoms. So it impacts women at different ages, but we know the average is 51. And because more women are at work and more women are working later in their lives, it's more likely to be an issue at work. So I wonder if we can start with Emma. And have you had women coming to you to raise issues about this?
Yeah, I have. Over the past couple of years, there's been more and more issues that have come through with members where they've not felt comfortable to tell their line manager their specific symptoms. So there's not been that open dialogue because they felt quite embarrassed. So in some instances where they've worked in rooms that have had unsuitable ventilation, they've not had windows that they could open, so then experiencing issues with hot flushes. That's been a problem. So when they have then raised them without the line manager knowing what the problem is, they've just been deemed as difficult. However, when we've then had that discussion, when we've said to the member, if you tell your line manager, might be able to then work something around. And then we have then started to have that open discussion and to find some solutions. However, even when members have felt comfortable being really open and honest, which takes a lot of courage to say, I'm struggling with these particular symptoms, such as memory loss, as well as night sweats. So obviously impacting on how you feel when you come into work, already run down before you start the day. Again, when they have had that open conversation, when they felt comfortable to do that, sometimes again, they've just been perceived as being difficult. So it's to really help the college to really fully understand that this is something that if they're on board with will just really help everybody, as well as wanting to feel that you're supported as a member of staff by your colleagues and by your line manager. And it's, you're not being perceived as difficult, because we've even had sometimes where people have, because with what the symptoms being anxiety, as well as memory loss. So being in meetings where you forget something or you're just not on the ball. There have been some cases where there've been discussions about going down a capability route. You're like, well, that's just not appropriate at all. And this is actually what's happening when we look at past performances for that member of staff. You can actually see that this is the issues, and this is the support that they particularly need. So yeah, absolutely having lots of anecdotal stories about the members coming to me with particular issues. And I think being a female rep, some members have felt more comfortable to raise that, whereas I think previously we had more male reps as well. But it's something that's everybody needs to be on board with. It's not just a female issue as well, it's something for everyone. So what we have started to do in Sunderland College is we have asked, obviously EPNE, that's including Northumberland as well, and Hartlepool, that we have asked for a policy to be in place as well. And I think that would really address some of our issues. So thinking about timetables, how they could be flexible for our members as well, issues that they can work around, having that full ventilation in classrooms and within their offices to make sure that they're appropriate areas. But I think training for everybody is definitely key, and just have that open discussion. So that's currently where we're up to at the moment. Jason, you're there.
Thank you. Yes, it's and we know that there is a period called the perimenopause, which can start, just some months before the menopause, or maybe years before the menopause, when some of these symptoms are evident, and it's not obvious that that's what it is. And of course, it's also a time in women's lives, isn't it, when lots of other things are happening at the same time. It could be when, children are leaving home, or perhaps when you're having more caring responsibilities for older relatives. So, there's a whole mixture of things. Jutta, I don't know, do you have any ideas of the sorts of things that the employer might be thinking of doing?
I think it's important to remove, you know, when Emma was talking about that you're perceived as difficult when you're raising these issues. I think it's important for the employer to understand that the difficulty lies with the person who's experiencing it. But also, I think it's important for women to know that they don't have to suffer in silence per se, because there are things that protect them, like the Equality Act, for instance, because if it's difficult for them to carry their day-to-day tasks because of a condition or a period in their lives, it's important for them to know that they have something to rely on, and to ask the employers to take that into consideration.
And the important thing about awareness, I know, Emma, what you're saying is, you know, being a female rep, it's you know, it means that more people will come to you, but, you know, we want everybody to be able to talk about this. And, you know, in the past, talking about your periods was quite a taboo subject.
Yeah.
But, you know, things are changing, and with the campaign around period poverty and things like that, you know, I'm hoping that things will get better. But this is the sort of, if the employers will do a bit more about raising awareness, then, you know, that can only help. But Jutta, I wonder if I could ask you, there are other conditions that women can get that are related to the menstrual cycle. And I know, Jutta, that you have something called endometriosis. And I wonder if you could just tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, of course. Endometriosis is a condition that affects approximately 1.5 million women in the UK, so it's quite prevalent. It's poorly understood. It involves the lining of the womb growing outside the womb, so such as on the ovaries or sometimes your lungs. So it's quite a serious condition for many women. Yeah, I've personally experienced it. I've lived with this condition, and rather shockingly, it's not a condition that is recognized in most workplaces. I think that's mainly due to lack of awareness of the condition, but it affects women during their reproductive years, and it can be accompanied by disabling pain that is sometimes constant. So there's no cure for it. There are treatments for it. But for the purpose of this, relating to employment, it's important that women are aware, as I said before, that applies to the menopause as well. It's important that women are aware that they don't have to suffer in silence, that they're not being difficult, and that there are employment rights and legislation that can be applied to them. Such as the Equality Act again, so the employer will have to make reasonable adjustments, you know, consider the statutory sick pay, flexible working patterns. It's also very useful for women that suffer with this condition, or with this condition, to know that some employers will be using the dual monitoring system that can be applied to them, that relates to the periods of absence. But also, I think it's important that talks are taking place to reduce the absenteeism or the presenteeism, because some women, including myself, have felt that they have to attend work no matter what they feel like, because they don't want that sickness record to follow them. But it's just not good enough. There has to be an understanding that you know, that women do experience these things, and they don't have to reduce their you know, their ability to perform their duties. We just have to find a way to work together. Over to you.
Yeah, I mean, all of these issues, certainly flexible working is something that can help, because Jutta, I don't know, is it a condition which affects you at a particular time of the month?
It depends. It doesn't affect every woman in the same way. Some women suffer at a particular time of the month during their menstruation, but other women can, as I said, be in debilitating pain constantly every day, which is managed by medication or TENS machines or a variety of other devices, but it is something that affects their working pattern and their productivity, but that is only because it's poorly understood and not managed in the workplace.
And actually, maybe if they're for anybody who is suffering from that, and perhaps needs to use a TENS machine or something through the day, then having somewhere in the workplace where you can go that's private.
Yes, that has been an issue that I have experienced personally, the lack of a space that you can go to, well, to ride it out per se, because there are some instances that a woman might feel better in 20 minutes. Sometimes it can take 3 hours, but to access a private space to enable you to take your medication, to put your hot water bottle on, to use your TENS machine, is very important.
Is there anything else that you think that either the employer could be doing or we as trade unionists could be doing to help women?
I think talking about all these issues just more openly, and I think just having a visual presence as well, that we are actively behind women, that we're trying to make a difference here, and as Jotta's been saying, to make women aware of their actual rights there too. So it's, again, just to have that bigger conversation. I think that would be what we should be doing, is just having a bigger presence, having kind of open forums, maybe particular groups for women as well. But I think that's what we need to be doing, is be more open about it.
Yes, yeah, to remove the stigma of being difficult,
yes.
or of women's problems.
Yeah.
It's the women's problems. You're making a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
But that's a part of a wider system that needs to be addressed, of course. But
I don't think we're going to do that this morning, Jutta.
No, I wasn't going to. But it is part of a philosophy that the women need to be quiet about these things, to not address them, that they're just being, it's not that important, but it is. And we need to be more present. And as a union, as Emma mentioned as well, we need to make women feel more comfortable to raise these issues. Well,
hopefully they on seeing this, they will see that you two, are very approachable, and I just want to thank you for the work that you do for the union, not just for women, because I know that you represent all of our members, but thank you very much for talking this morning. It's been interesting. I've learned things, so thank you very much, and we'll perhaps catch up soon.
Yeah. Thanks.
See you soon.